It's been weeks since 4-year-old Gus Lamont disappeared from his family's remote property in South Australia, and yet not one solid clue has led to answers. No personal items, no verified sightings, no evidence of what direction he might have gone. Search teams have covered kilometers of rugged land, drained millions of liters of water, and revisited every possible theory. But through all of that, one heartbreaking fact remains. There is still no sign of Gus. This disappearance has gripped the entire nation, and as the days pass, frustration and confusion only grow stronger. Families are asking, how does a child vanish in daylight on familiar land, surrounded by people who loved him? Authorities have called it one of the most complex search efforts in recent years, involving police, volunteers, and the Defense Force. Yet after every drone flight, every line search, every interview, the same haunting question echoes: where is Gus Lamont? Today, we're not here to speculate wildly or chase unconfirmed claims. We're here to confront the real unanswered questions that still surround this case, the ones investigators, locals, and even experts continue to debate quietly in the background. So if you've been following the search for Gus and want to stay informed on every confirmed development, remember to subscribe, like, and share this video. Because the more people hear about Gus, the harder it becomes for this story to fade into silence. Every view, every comment, every share, it all helps keep the awareness alive. Every investigation has a moment, a precise window of time that everything revolves around. For the disappearance of little Gus Lamont, that moment is the half hour between when he was last seen playing outside and when his grandmother realized he was gone. It was late afternoon. The property was quiet, the kind of silence you only find deep in rural South Australia, miles from the nearest neighbor, surrounded by dry red earth and low scrub. Gus was reportedly playing near a sand mound just outside the family's homestead. He'd been there many times before. This was not unfamiliar ground. It was home, safe, familiar. Then came the moment that changed everything. When his grandmother went to call him in for dinner, Gus didn't answer. At first, there was probably no panic. Kids get distracted easily. Maybe he was just behind the shed or chasing something near the fence line. But as minutes passed and there was still no sign of him, the tone shifted from curiosity to dread. In those 30 minutes, that small gap of time, something happened. Something no one saw. Search teams later scoured the area and found a single small footprint in the red dirt, believed to match the boots Gus was wearing that day. But beyond that, there was nothing. No broken branches, no dropped items, no other signs of movement. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. And this is what has baffled investigators and the public alike, because in a landscape that open, with miles of visibility in every direction, how does a 4-year-old disappear without a single trace? Experts say a child that age could only walk a limited distance in that time, yet even after ground, air, and thermal searches covering every possible radius, no clear direction of travel was ever found. So the question remains, what really happened in those 30 minutes? Did Gus wander further than anyone imagined? Did he see something that drew him away? Or did something or someone come into that quiet, ordinary moment and take him away before anyone could react? It's this unanswered half hour that has become the heart of the mystery. The invisible gap between routine life and an unfolding tragedy that continues to haunt everyone involved. When Gus was reported missing, authorities didn't hesitate. Within hours, what began as a worried family's search turned into one of the largest coordinated efforts the region had seen in years. Police, local volunteers, state emergency crews, and even members of the Australian Defense Force joined in. Helicopters circled overhead, thermal imaging cameras scanned the ground, and drones flew low over the dry terrain. Every inch of land, every paddock, ridge, and creek bed was combed over and over again. The conditions were tough. The land around Oak Park is remote, hot, and unforgiving. It's the kind of country that looks still from a distance but can swallow up tracks, footprints, and even small objects in minutes. The red dirt, the dense patches of scrub, the dips in the land, they all made the search painstakingly slow. At one point, crews discovered what looked like a child's boot print. Hope surged. It was believed to match the small pair Gus was wearing that afternoon, but beyond that faint imprint in the dirt, there was nothing else to connect to. No signs of struggle, no items of clothing, no scent trail that could be followed by dogs. Days turned into weeks, and the tone of the search shifted from hopeful to heartbreaking. Authorities began consulting survival experts, professionals who calculate how long a child might endure the elements without water, food, or shelter. Their findings weren't optimistic, and after exhaustive sweeps of the area, the mission officially moved from a rescue to a recovery. Then came another major move, the draining of a nearby dam. Over 3.2 million liters of water were pumped out. For hours, officers and divers stood by as the level dropped, watching and waiting, hoping for answers. But when the bottom was finally exposed, nothing was found. Still, police didn't stop. They've since conducted 3 separate reviews of their search, peer-reviewed by external experts. Those reports found no major flaws, no negligence, no overlooked clues. Yet they did suggest there might be new approaches, new ways to look at old evidence. Today, the property stands quiet again. The sand mound where Gus once played looks unchanged, except for the memory it now holds. What's perhaps most haunting is how thorough the search was, and yet how little it yielded. It leaves behind the most unsettling question of all. How can someone, especially a child, vanish in a place so vast but leave no trace at all? In the weeks following Gus Lamont's disappearance, the community around Oak Park hasn't just been searching for answers. They've been feeling something deeper, something unsettling that words barely capture. For those who live nearby, the land has always carried an air of mystery. But since that September evening, when the little boy vanished without a trace, that feeling has grown heavier. Many locals describe Oak Park as an odd place, not cursed, not haunted, just strange. The kind of place where the air feels still, where even the birds seem quieter. Some residents who have lived in the region for decades have shared personal accounts that now seem eerily relevant. They talk about the way sound carries, how a shout can echo in directions you don't expect, and how even experienced farmers have lost their bearings in the dust and heat. The terrain itself adds to the mystery. Vast stretches of dry scrub and shifting red earth create a landscape that's both breathtaking and brutal. From above, it looks endless. Miles of similar-looking hills, ridges, and dry creeks. It's a place where distances deceive the eye. Something that appears close might actually be kilometers away. In such terrain, a small child could disappear from view in moments. Some locals say they've experienced strange phenomena long before Gus went missing. Compass readings that flicker, radio signals that die out for no reason, drones that suddenly lose control. A few claim that the land has its own kind of energy, one that confuses even the best tracking devices. While there's no scientific proof behind these stories, they've become part of the local lore. And in light of the search for Gus, they've resurfaced in hushed conversations across town. Then come the older tales, the kind passed down through generations, CTC. People talk about stock animals that vanished without a trace, about eerie sounds at night carried by the wind across the plains, and about travelers who once lost their way only a few hundred meters from safety. These accounts have no hard evidence, but they add to the perception that Oak Park isn't like other places. Still, others reject these theories completely. They believe in logic, not legends. They say the land is vast, yes, but not mysterious. To them, it's not about strange forces or energy. It's about distance, isolation, and how easy it is to underestimate the outback. For these locals, Gus's disappearance is a painful reminder of how unforgiving the environment can be, a place where one wrong turn can change everything. But even those who don't believe in strange happenings admit something feels different now. Locals say Oak Park doesn't look the same. The silence seems deeper, the land somehow heavier. People driving past the homestead often slow down, their eyes lingering just a bit longer on the property. It's as if everyone knows, whatever happened out there, the ground remembers. As the weeks have passed and official searches slowed, a series of persistent theories have begun circulating, not just online, but among locals, experts, and followers of the case across Australia. These theories are not wild speculation. They come from people trying to make sense of something that simply doesn't add up. The first theory is the most straightforward, that Gus simply wandered off. Supporters of this explanation point to the vastness of Oak Park. A child's curiosity, especially in a place filled with open spaces, can easily lead to danger. Police have maintained that the most likely scenario is that Gus walked away from the homestead and became lost in the surrounding terrain. But what confuses many is how no trace, no clothing, no items, no further footprints has ever been found. The outback has a way of swallowing evidence, but 5 weeks of intensive searching with helicopters, drones, dogs, and hundreds of trained personnel should have turned up something. Yet, there was nothing. The second theory questions whether the landscape itself holds the answer. Some believe the land around Oak Park may hide natural hazards, old mine shafts, hidden sinkholes, or underground creeks, places that could easily conceal a small body. Experts have noted that parts of the outback can shift over time, covering or distorting surface clues. Supporters of this theory argue that even advanced equipment could miss something buried under layers of dust and vegetation. Then there's the third, more controversial theory, that someone else may have been involved. Though police have repeatedly said there is no evidence of foul play, some observers can't help but ask, could a vehicle have passed through unnoticed? Could someone have taken advantage of the property's isolation? Those who live nearby say it's rare, but not impossible, for strangers to cross the region. Still, investigators have found nothing concrete to support this idea. No tire tracks, no signs of intrusion, no suspicious activity. A fourth theory, one rooted in local experience, suggests that the search area might have been focused too narrowly. Some experts and volunteers believe the original search radius, based on survival projections and terrain modeling, might have underestimated how far a determined child could go. There are documented cases of children covering unexpected distances in the Australian bush, driven by simple instincts like chasing a sound, a shadow, or a familiar sight. If Gus kept moving, even slowly, he could have ventured beyond the main search zones before the first teams arrived. Finally, a quieter but recurring theory asks whether technology and timing may have worked against the search. High winds, extreme temperatures, and interference from dust or terrain might have limited the accuracy of drones and thermal imaging. In the early hours of a disappearance, every minute counts, and by the time large-scale operations were underway, conditions may already have erased early clues. Despite these theories, one fact remains: there's no definitive explanation. Every idea leads to more questions. Why wasn't any sign of Gus found? Why did trained searchers, with helicopters and dogs, come up empty-handed? Why has the land stayed so silent? Each theory, in its own way, reflects a single truth, that Oak Park has become a place full of echoes and uncertainty. Weeks have passed since little Gus Lamont disappeared, yet the mystery around Oak Park remains as deep and unsettling as ever. Even with police reports, expert opinions, and massive search operations, there's one undeniable truth: nothing adds up. The first question that still baffles everyone is how a 4-year-old boy could vanish so completely from a familiar property. He was last seen playing in the dirt near the homestead, within calling distance of his grandmother. 30 minutes later, he was gone. That short window of time, barely enough for a child to wander far, has become the focus of endless speculation. Search teams scoured every direction from that sand mound, combing over 60,000 hectares of rugged terrain, but not a single item belonging to Gus was ever found. No hat, no clothing, no signs of distress. Nothing. Experts say that even in vast rural areas, traces are almost always left behind. Footprints, drag marks, disturbed soil, or an item dropped in panic. Yet in Gus's case, it's as if he simply evaporated. Some locals believe this is what makes the story so disturbing. The lack of evidence is itself a kind of evidence, that something beyond ordinary circumstances may have taken place. Then, there's the mystery of the dam, one of the most talked about parts of this case. The dam was drained completely, 3.2 million liters of water removed, in what became one of the largest single search actions since his disappearance. Police divers explored every corner of the muddy bottom, checking under weeds and along the edges. But again, no trace. No clothes, no footprints near the banks, no evidence to suggest Gus ever went near it. For many, this was the moment the case took an eerie turn, because that dam had always been one of the most logical explanations. The footprint added to the confusion. Found roughly 500 meters from the homestead, early reports suggested it matched Gus's boots. For a brief moment, it gave hope. Maybe it meant he had walked in that direction. But police later said they couldn't confirm it was his after all. That single piece of potential evidence became a question mark instead of a clue. If it wasn't his, then whose footprint was it? And if it was, why did it lead nowhere? Another key question surrounds the timeline. According to reports, Gus's grandmother noticed he was missing when she went to call him in. In such open terrain, it's hard to imagine a child covering that much distance without being seen. Some locals insist visibility across that land is wide open for kilometers, meaning if he walked away, someone should have spotted him. That's why many believe he might not have gone far at all. So, if not distance, what happened within that short radius? Police have stated repeatedly that there is no evidence of foul play. They believe Gus likely wandered off, and tragically, the elements took their toll. But as days turned to weeks, locals started questioning how that conclusion could hold up when no physical evidence supports it. The idea that a child could vanish so completely from an area swarmed by searchers, drones, helicopters, and thermal imaging has made even seasoned investigators pause. Then comes the emotional side of this tragedy, the weight on the family. People have seen how emotionally shattered they appear, how deeply private they've become since the incident. Some community members interpret this as natural grief. Others, unfairly or not, view it with suspicion, asking whether there's something they're not saying. What's certain is that trauma can shape reactions in unpredictable ways, and that has only added to the swirl of misunderstanding and speculation. Even within law enforcement, there's quiet acknowledgement that some details don't fit neatly into the narrative. They have ruled out foul play officially, but at the same time, they continue revisiting Oak Park, draining dams, and analyzing search data. That persistence tells people one thing: even police aren't fully satisfied with what they've found so far. Finally, there's Oak Park itself, a landscape that locals describe as beautiful yet treacherous. They say it plays tricks on your senses. One moment it's calm and quiet, the next, the wind shifts and you can't hear your own footsteps. The red dust, the endless horizon, the sameness of the land. It's easy to become disoriented even for those who know it well. Some say Oak Park hides things, not because it's haunted, but because its sheer vastness swallows evidence whole. And that's what makes Gus's story so haunting. No sound, no trace, no closure. Just a community that still feels something about Oak Park isn't right. Even as the weeks pass, the same questions echo through that red dust. Where did Gus go? How could a boy vanish into nothing? And if he didn't walk away, then what really happened that evening? Every search, every review, every public statement leads back to one chilling truth. The answers might still be out there, buried somewhere in Oak Park. Oak Park isn't just any patch of land. It's one of those places where nature feels both endless and enclosing. Stretching for kilometers in every direction, it's a landscape of flat red earth, tangled scrub, deep gullies, and dry creek beds that twist unpredictably. From above, it looks simple, open, barren, easy to navigate. But anyone who has walked that ground will tell you it's deceptive. You can lose your sense of direction quickly in that kind of terrain. The horizon looks the same no matter where you turn. Even experienced locals have admitted it's possible to get disoriented just a few hundred meters from home. When the wind blows and dust lifts into the air, visibility can drop fast. In that moment, sound gets swallowed. You can yell, but no one hears you. For a small child, that's terrifying. That's why some believe Gus could still be somewhere close, hidden by the land itself. Searchers covered enormous distances, but there are parts of Oak Park that can't be accessed easily, even by vehicles. Small caves, thick scrub, dry wells, and animal burrows. Places that might not seem obvious, but could conceal something for weeks. Then there's the question of the dam and nearby water systems. While the main dam was drained, other smaller water catchments and troughs dot the area. Some are overgrown, some fenced, others open. Locals familiar with the property say those features can shift after heavy rain, altering the terrain just enough to hide things that weren't visible before. Could the environment itself have shifted in the days after the search began? Could evidence have been covered naturally, by dust storms, by animals, or by runoff water? The South Australian outback is notorious for this. It's not just vast, it's alive. Wind and weather constantly reshape the land. Footprints vanish overnight, tracks fade, even thermal imaging struggles against heat-reflective surfaces during the day. That means a body or object hidden under even a thin layer of soil might remain unseen for weeks. And yet, there's another layer to Oak Park, the sense of silence it carries. Locals often describe the area as eerily still. They say it feels like sound doesn't travel properly out there. During the searches, volunteers spoke of how quiet everything became once the helicopters left. No birds, no insects, just the hum of the wind. That kind of quiet amplifies the mystery. It makes people wonder, if Gus called for help, could anyone have even heard him? Investigators have said that survivability experts were consulted early on, and those experts helped define how far a 4-year-old could realistically walk before exhaustion set in. That radius, a few kilometers at most, was thoroughly searched, but the land isn't uniform. It has dips and ridges, dry gullies that hide from view, and patches where grass grows waist-high. Even within a narrow area, dozens of micro-locations could conceal something vital. There's also the idea that the terrain itself confused the search. Maps and drone imagery can't always capture what it feels like to move through thick scrub or navigate uneven ground. A small misstep in coordinates, a blind spot from a drone's angle, or a patch of unscanned vegetation could have made all the difference. So when people say Oak Park is hiding something, it doesn't always mean something supernatural. Sometimes it means the land is simply smarter than we are, capable of concealing secrets in plain sight. Even now, locals talk about Oak Park like a place that holds its own silence. They say when the sun sets and the shadows stretch across the dirt, it feels like the ground itself is keeping a secret. Maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe the truth about what happened to Gus isn't gone, just hidden in a landscape that's bigger, harsher, and quieter than anyone imagined. When you start asking people who actually live near Oak Park what they think happened to Gus Lamont, you don't just get one answer. You get many, and every one of them sounds like a piece of a much larger puzzle. Some locals believe the official theory, that Gus simply wandered off, is still the most likely. They talk about how easily a small child can disappear in terrain like that. It's harsh, unpredictable, and easy to underestimate. A few have said quietly that they think Gus may have walked farther than anyone imagined, perhaps beyond the original search grid, and that the environment simply swallowed all traces. Others aren't so sure. They point out strange details, how the searches were so large and thorough, yet not a single piece of clothing, no new footprints, not even a toy has been found. In their eyes, that's unusual. One man who's worked on farms in the region for years reportedly said, "Even if the land hides things, it doesn't hide everything." Then there's another group, those who sense something deeper, something that can't be explained by maps or theories. They talk about how Oak Park feels different, not cursed or haunted, but heavy, a place where time slows down, where sound feels trapped. Some even believe there's a reason why strange things seem to happen there: old wells, forgotten paths, ancient land. To them, it's not about foul play or coincidence. It's about a landscape that doesn't give up its secrets easily. And finally, a few people simply believe that there's more to the story than anyone has been told. Not necessarily something criminal, just that the full picture isn't out yet. They mention timing, distance, and how quickly the first search began. They wonder if something might have been missed in those crucial early hours. A small clue, a sound, a detail that seemed unimportant at the time, but might mean everything now. No one agrees on what exactly happened, but everyone agrees on one thing: the case doesn't feel finished. There's an uneasiness in the air, a sense that answers are still out there, maybe hidden under layers of dust, maybe buried in someone's memory. For people who live nearby, this isn't just a headline. It's a story that lingers. Each time they drive past Oak Park, they think of the small boy who vanished, and they wonder, what if the land isn't the only thing keeping secrets? Months have passed, yet the disappearance of little Gus Lamont continues to raise more questions than answers. The police have searched, reviewed, and even drained a dam. But what they haven't found has only deepened the mystery. People are asking the same questions over and over. How could a child disappear in such a short window of time in an area surrounded by open land? If Gus truly wandered off, why hasn't there been a single new sign? No tracks, no items, no trace of where he went. Did something happen before the search began that changed the course of events that evening? And most importantly, could something have been overlooked in those first crucial moments? These aren't wild theories. They're logical questions from people who simply want closure, who want to understand how a 4-year-old could vanish from his own home without a trace. Even as officials stand by their conclusion that there are no suspicious circumstances, the public's curiosity remains. Because when facts stop coming, speculation fills the silence. And silence is exactly what's been growing around Oak Park. But perhaps the biggest question of all is this: what comes next? The police say they remain committed to recovering Gus for the family, but will there be another search? Are there new technologies or data reviews that could shed light on what happened that day? Or has everything that could be done already been done? The community wants to believe that somewhere, somehow, there's still a chance for answers. They don't want blame or headlines, just truth. Because behind the maps, the timelines, and the investigations is a family who wakes up every morning still wondering what happened to their little boy. And until that answer is found, this case and this pain will remain open. If you followed this story, share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think really happened that day? Do you believe there's more to this story than we've been told? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We'll continue to follow every development in the Gus Lamont case, every update, and every search that may still come. Because some stories deserve to be told until they find an ending.